Hey, everybody. Welcome to the strategy session. This is normally a Lincoln Square paid subscriber only event, but tonight we were talking about this afternoon. We think this giant fight over the big, beautiful, hot mess budget bill and the really, really terrible things that are wrapped up inside this bill deserved a bigger audience, a bigger conversation, and to give you guys a preview of sort of what we do here behind the curtain. So with that, I'm joined by Joe Trippi, my partner in crime, my fellow Lincoln Square and Lincoln Project warrior, and Mario Nicolais, who is the general counsel of the Lincoln Project, but also happens to be an expert on Medicare and Medicaid and all the ways that impacts state and local governments and individuals. So, guys, I want to start out with, it strikes me that the biggest tell here is that they're going to hold this hearing at 1 o'clock in the morning tomorrow night. That seems to me sort of a clue that this whole deal is not exactly on the up and up. Mario?
Well, maybe they just want to make sure that all the seniors whose Medicaid that they're cutting, who rely on that for long-term care, just are going to be asleep by then, and maybe they won't pay attention. Maybe they won't wake up. But it's remarkable in the harm that it's going to do, but also in the political stupidity. We saw earlier the stupidity when Kristi Noem didn't know what habeas corpus meant, but like the members of Congress, the Republican members of Congress said, "Hold my beer. We'll show you how dumb is done."
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah,
it's like huge political malpractice, though. I've never seen anything like it.
But I also think we need everybody to stop calling it, budget reconciliation and call it the Maga murder budget. I wasn't the first one to coin that phrase, but that's what people are going to die. And by the way, it makes sense. The whole 1 a.m. thing makes sense. If you're going to start killing people, it's a good that you do it in the middle of the night, right? When like Mario said, when no one's paying attention and they're sleeping.
Yeah. I think the number I heard today was something like 35 to 40 million Americans will be affected by these cuts. And they are almost all seniors. They are either seniors or working poor. And Joe, you're not putting too fine a point on it. It really is going to kill people.
It will.
This is going these guys that get their dialysis covered by Medicaid are now going to be showing up in the emergency room and getting dialysis in the hospital on an emergency basis. And it's going to cost us a lot more as a country, as people, but it's also going to put the lives of so many of these folks at risk who have diabetes, who have kidney failure, who have, who need nursing care. This thing is just, Mario, in terms of like how the states deal with this, nobody can afford to pick up the slack on this in the states. Am I correct in that? You just can't make it up.
Right. So the numbers, just to put the numbers in perspective, we're talking about close to $1 trillion worth of spending, and no state can make that up. And even the ones that didn't expand, and so the southern states are a little bit skewed on their numbers because a lot of them didn't expand Medicaid, but they still have a disproportionate number of people on Medicaid because they have a lot of rural areas. They have a lot of seniors. They got a lot of people who are really unhealthy and can't pay for it. And no state will be able to fill this. It'll be questions of do we pay for the healthcare here or do we pay for roads? It'll be questions like that they're going to face, and it's going to create budgetary crises all up and down the lines. I think it's important for people to understand that Medicaid funds are not directly paid by the federal government. They flow through the states, and so the states have to make those payments. And so they're going to put in a budgetary quandary themselves. Now, maybe that's what some of the Republicans are banking on, is that there's a good work of people at the states. They'll no good deed will get unpunished, and people will be like, well, why didn't you fix this after these Republicans cut billions and billions from their ability to pay? That might be the plan.
But even if the states move money to pay for it, it's got to come from schools, everything else. It's sooner or later you got to pay, and it'll be children, And people are going to die. That's, I think, that the key thing that needs to be pushed through here. This is a MAGA murder budget. They are cutting programs that are actually going to end up with people dying, all for a tax cut for
Right.
billionaire. It's just
Thank God
it's
Elon
amazing.
can get an extra rocket or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
This 1 a.m. vote, this isn't a 1 a.m. congressional vote. This is a 1 a.m. death panel. That's exactly what it is, because people will die. But I want to point out that for folks, like, oh, well, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to die. It's going to cost you and your pocketbook too, because the funds to come up with this are going to have to come from somewhere, whether it's states raising taxes or states cutting your roads or states cutting your education or states cutting anything else that they do, that they manage. And, people
Law
are going to
enforcement.
feel that. Well, and then throw out one of the huge things that people, in rural areas, red areas, which is amazing. That's who's really going to get crushed here.
Yeah.
We're going to lose
and
300
they've underscored that.
Right. The hospitals that will be shut down, that will be closed because of this, the vast majority of them are in rural areas where it's maybe the only place to get healthcare, any kind of healthcare within miles and miles. They're all going to with this Medicaid stuff just lose any ability to stay open. You're going to have to have a heart attack or anything like that going on.
Good luck.
There will be no place to go. Yeah, it's good luck. That's what I mean when we say death panels. This is real, or in the MAGA murder budget. It's for real, and I think that's the message that's got to be that Democrats, pro-democracy people, everybody's got to start, making clear that's what they're doing.
Yeah, if you live in Virginia, in rural Virginia, and you have to drive all the way into D.C., and you've had a heart attack. Who thinks they're going to make it through that? I mean, it's just a panel for poor healthcare and for increased cost and for people to die. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think we have not yet even started to see how much damage this will do to seniors. And one thing that I was talking to somebody the other day who's very smart about this stuff, who said to me, and I've used this line a lot the last few days, I will admit, get ready to have mom and dad move back home.
Yeah.
A lot of what Medicare does and Medicaid does is cover nursing home costs. And these people do not understand that they're just not going to be able to switch it off and say, okay, you either grandma goes and dies in the street or she moves in with you. Where's it going to be? And people have not internalized, I don't think yet, just how tough that's going to be on their families and their work lives and their lifestyles and everything else.
Oh, 100%. So in a former life, I was actually general counsel for a company that was the largest company in Colorado that did skilled nursing care. And the vast majority of the payments are through Medicaid. And to put this in perspective, you're usually talking about $10,000 a month to pay for that sort of stuff.
Sure.
Unless you have that kind of coin to pass out to a private care person, that's what you're looking at, is mom and dad moving back home. But by the way, it's just not mom and dad who are super healthy. It's people who require care all day long.
Yes.
So it means someone's going to have to leave their job just so that they can take care of mom and dad at home, because they need help going to the bathroom, and they need help showering, and they need help eating, and they probably need to remember to take their medication. All the things they need in skilled nursing care. That's what you get to do in MAGA America right now. That's your future.
Congratulations, you guys. You played yourselves.
You got it good and hard.
I want to get back to the sort of political malpractice here too, because it is easy and legitimate to talk about how badly they're screwing Americans. But this is also something that I think is going to expand the playing field in 2026 a lot further than Republicans wanted it to. I know for a very, very highly reliable source told me earlier, or late last week, that NRCC or one of the super PACs had done a round of polling and that Johnson would not let them be briefed on it because it was that bad. Because even in red states and red districts, MAGA voters are like, "Wait, what? You're cutting? Excuse me, what?" And Steve Bannon may not get along with us very much, but he said a few months ago, these cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, disability, SNAP, TANF, all those things. He's like, those are an attack on Donald Trump's own people.
Yep.
A lot of this is going to fall on them. I can't imagine the combination of low propensity voters when Trump's not on the ballot being pissed off because they're going to, by the time 2026 November rolls around, they're going to have started to pay the price for this, whether it's lives or alteration of their lifestyle or being unable to get care and treatment. I think there's going to be a very ugly price to pay for Republicans on this one. And it's not scaremongering. They're really doing what they've always wanted to do.
Yeah, the real question though is still going to be, can they even do that? I mean, what I'm saying is, can they get, can Trump bully the caucus? And we know he can, or he has so far, into committing, in the literally
political Harry-Carry.
Yeah, political Harry-Carry. Can he do it? Can he make them walk the plank in a way that just gets? I mean, and the key is going to, in a lot of ways, could be the Senate, because I think the Senate is going to be in play because of this, and lots of other things. But this could really put some of those seats that that as a Democrat, we have really no right to think we could be in contention in some of these states. But I think it can happen. I think they can really push that bar and make enough of them walk the plank on something just as crazy as this, literally a Harry-Carry mission. And it'll be interesting to see how they pull that, how he bullies those votes to come through, because it's going to happen.
I think when we even see guys like Josh Hawley in the Senate saying we can't cut Medicare, we can't cut Medicaid, my state, suddenly rediscovering that the people in their states need help. I was told today by somebody, a source in North Carolina told me today, Tom Tillis is being very much he's going to very much be the deciding vote on this, most likely. And he would rather have kidney stones right now than take this vote. He'd rather cut off an arm than take this vote, because North Carolina, in case y'all don't know, they are major recipients of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and one of the highest percentages in the nation of people on disability, which will also be in the same pool with these cuts. So I don't know if you're Tom Tillis or anybody up for grabs this year. If you're anybody from a rural state where all these rural hospitals are going to get shut down, how do you go out there and take that vote just so Donald Trump doesn't tweet something mean about you?
Yeah, well, this is the kind of thing that puts those states back in play. I mean, Josh Hawley is in Missouri. It should be a red state. It's been turning more and more red over and over again. But no one runs faster or farther than Josh Hawley. We all know that.
You know that. Yeah.
He is
we know that for a fact.
This bill.
Very fast.
And it's not because he gives a damn about the people who are going to get hurt about this.
No,
he doesn't. He cares about his own potential reelections eventually in the future, and he knows this would be an albatross that will hang across them for decades. This is the kind of thing that because the people who it hurts, they are low-income voters. But what they do know is when their lives are crappier, and their lives are going to be crappier because of this. And so to try to change their mind or explain it to them, he knows he can't do that. He knows that this vote and a vote for this, there's no good rationale for this, except for we wanted to give a bunch of billionaires a big tax cut.
$4 trillion of tax cuts, of which, get this, America, $3.81 trillion of it goes to people who make over $150 million a year. Work that out, guys. There are not enough people voting based for this tax cut. And look, a lot of Republicans will convince themselves, oh, I'm going to get the same tax cut, because you're not. And Trump said today, one more thing that puts more of these seats in play. And Joe and I know some folks running in New York. Trump said today, don't do the SALT tax cut.
Yeah.
Don't bring the SALT deduction back.
Finish
it's
all
like,
those folks
goodbye,
out.
Nick Vallota. Goodbye, Mike Waller. those guys had to be, and at least Stefanik, they had to be tearing their fucking hair out hearing that.
But hello, Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she's going to end up, I mean, she's entering the Senate race. This is the whole quandary, because they're going to have to wear, all of them are going to have to wear this MAGA murder budget mantra, that mantra. We have to stick it to them. And Marjorie Taylor Greene and others are going to help do that. You're right. It's on everything. It's like, it's salt. It's just an incredibly bad budget play. I mean, politically, it makes no sense at all, other than kamikaze mission, and Donald Trump wants to take the whole party, bully them into doing it. And of course, at no stage so far have we ever seen them rebel against him, and it doesn't look like it'll happen now. So even if Holly somehow, we know what he's going to do. And
Susan Collins and all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if we have a brand right now to put around this, I think the murder budget is a good one, because look, the number one person in that list of people receiving the benefits from this is Elon Musk, who is about as popular as a colony of toxic mold with herpes growing on a pile of radioactive waste. None of this is going to make people happy when they know the kinds of people that are getting this money. And I really think the idea of people dying on this, and Republicans will say, no, of course it's not going to happen, but then it's going to start happening, because this will happen quickly. This is not like states don't get this Medicare money and Medicaid money years in advance. This is going to happen quickly. When the spigot is off, they're going to feel it immediately, especially in these rural hospitals.
Well,
but
and those rural nursing facilities. I mean, there just aren't that many, and they operate a shoestring budget. And when they close, there's just going to be nowhere for people to go. But it's going to be devastating.
But it goes beyond that. I mean, when you think about the position that these rural hospitals hold in terms of the employees, the nurses, the doctors, the people who food in the cafeteria, all those jobs. When those 300 hospitals go, all that goes too. And that literally, some of it is the lifeblood, the beating heart of that community in terms of the economy. I mean, so it's not just the people dying. It's like whole towns are going to die. I mean, I'm not talking, I'm talking about the towns themselves are going to fall apart because of this. Is people are going to have to move and leave and go and find either healthcare or jobs or something somewhere else, because the heartbeat of their town, that rural hospital, is no more. It's just amazing.
It's the economy buster for rural America. That's what it is. It will sink rural Americans who are already struggling with increased costs because of tariffs, and they can't find work because of mass layoffs, and because they can't find work on farms, because guess what? We're not exporting anything to the rest of the world because they can't, because of tariffs. Yeah, and now, by the way, any of the money that you had from healthcare industry is all flowing out. It's incredible that they're just piling on and piling on and piling on, and it's going to break. I think it's going to break for a lot of these folks, and they will start putting red states in play, which will be great, because that's what we need.
Again, one thing we really know is when Donald Trump isn't on the ballot, those low propensity 1 and 2 out of 5 voters, they're not that interested. They stay home.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're a Republican running for governor or U.S. Senate in a state that's even purple adjacent, or if you're in a district now that's at least that's not like R+15, you better sleep with one eye open, because I think America is going to be absolutely over the moon with fury about this, especially if it ends up we get this giant deficit based from this bill. The rating agencies are already pissed off that Moody's just knocked us down another notch. They were the last one to keep us at the highest credit rating level. We end up with more instability, more foreign countries and more foreign institutions stop buying U.S. T-bills. You end up getting a recession or worse. Prices are up, jobs are down. and the one safety net that American families could have depended on has been taken away so Elon Musk can buy a fucking volcano layer for his submarine or whatever he does. So I feel like this is a really good populist mistake they've made. For all that they pretend to be populists, they've made a huge mistake here.
Yeah, your odds of going bankrupt are about 1 billion times better than getting a tax cut out of this. I mean, that's really what's going to happen for most people. I mean, medical bills are already the number one cause for people going bankrupt. Now, you take away the ability for people to rely on Medicaid, and they're responsible. We're going to look. Bankruptcy attorneys are going to do really well. Maybe that'll be my new line of work because there's going to be a lot of it thanks to this. And I can't believe that anyone thinks this is good politics other than we don't want to cross the president, which is ridiculous because Trump doesn't care about them. He just cares about his big, bold, beautiful bill and giving big tax cuts to his buddies. I mean, he's corrupt, and we all know he's corrupt, and this is just one more version of his corruption.
Yeah. I want to take this question from Kathleen Gage. Thanks for the question, Kathleen. When is the implementation of Medicaid cuts going into effect? Have they announced that? I don't know specifically, Mario, you may, but I know in previous CRs, they take effect immediately because we don't do real budgets anymore. So a CR has to kind of be executed on the like, it's usually like 24 hours after the vote or something like that.
Right.
But
yeah, it usually is. Although I will say one of the problems with this is they've actually told members, don't worry what's in the bill. It might change a little bit before we get there. We're not going to let you see all of it. I mean,
yeah, the usual.
See it. I mean, it's one thing for a member not to read it. It's a whole other thing not to be able to read it if they want to. It's crazy.
Crazy. But, again, folks, all of you tonight, by the way, and tomorrow, if you're here, and we'll put it up somewhere on Lincoln Square and over at Lincoln Project. We'll make sure we post those numbers in our socials. We're going to give you the congressional switchboard numbers again because melt the shit out of those phones for two reasons. One, we could still stop this thing, maybe. But two, they're going to look back on today and tomorrow, and they're going to say, oh, shit, all those people were calling in. They were so mad. They were so furious. They were so ready to, oops. And I really believe that while Republicans in particular are they don't work for their constituents. They work for Donald Trump. They don't work for anybody except Donald Trump. I still think there is a great political play to be made here that to remind them that their voters exist and they give a damn. And so people ask us all the time, like, what can I do? I'm just a person. I'm just a regular voter. What can I mean, one of those things you can do is be an active citizen and get on the phone, send the email, send the paper letter. Because, by the way, you want to freak the fuck out of congressional staff when they get a paper letter because they're all a bunch of fucking Gen Z weirdos now. They're like, oh, what is this artifact? What is this relic of danger? But you got to lean in and press on these fuckers. Right. And I think it is imperative that as they do this, we keep framing this for what it is. Yes, it's a tax cut for billionaires, but most important, it's a direct attack on the American people. They're doing it to pay for that tax cut, but it's an attack, as Joe says, it's the murder budget. It's an attack on American families. It's an attack on American seniors. It's an attack on your mom, your dad, all those things. It's an attack on you. If you're a wage earner, if you're somebody out there right now whose parents get nursing home care and I promise you, no matter how fortunate you are in this country, it doesn't take many degrees of separation to find out somebody that you know or care about or are related to is on Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security benefits of some kind, or SNAP, or TANF, or disability. It is America's safety net is pretty freaking thin. It's pretty gossamer thin, but people do depend on it, and it's going to hurt everybody, not just the ones who they claim are the target.
Like, I think it's not just the phone. Hit the phones. But when and if this thing passes, it's hit the streets.
Yeah.
It's
Oh shit. Yeah.
peaceful protest, but grow into the millions. I mean, be in front of these hospitals that are going to be shut down. Be in front of these senior centers that are going to be shut down. Protest peacefully, nonviolent. But we're already, most of these protests when they're held are showing about 3 million people. Let's get it to 6 million. Bring a friend, but
bring it up.
Get active as a citizen. Make your voice loud. Make it heard. First on the phones. First with those letters that Rick's talked about. That will freak them out. Any of us who've been on the Hill know emails are not as impactful as a handwritten or a letter on paper. Send that in, and the phone calls drive them crazy. Good, keep doing that. But get out there, get active, drag your friends, family members, coworkers, make it visible. That we're not going to stand for the MAGA murder budget, period. Particularly if they pass it, then really get out there long and hard.
A friend of mine who was watching just texted me and said, when the Medicaid cuts start hitting and your families will start getting all these tons of paperwork, take those things to the district offices and say, fix this problem for me. Do this, fix this problem for me. Because again, you want all the pressure. And a lot of district offices are now closed permanently because Republicans are chicken shits. But that pressure, that pain level you can bring on them, it's real. And the horrors of this budget, which again, we don't even know all the terrible shit that's in this budget yet. We don't even know half of it. I in 2017, I had a friend who was a lobbyist who was working on the bill literally in McConnell's office at one point. And the Christmas tree of poison pills and weird shit that they put in there that nobody wanted to do, but if you put it in the bill, it had to get passed, was insane. There will be stuff in here that makes the Medicaid, Medicare cuts look like a walk in the park. There's going to be some crazy shit in here. Donald Trump's face must be on every building or whatever. What it's going to, the lunacy is like, we've only seen the very tip of that iceberg above the water. Mario?
Well, I mean, I can't get past the fact that right now they're talking, the right just can't get over the fact of what James Comey said about 86. But meanwhile, the Congress is getting ready to 86 millions of people. And that's what they're trying to do. They're throwing them off Medicaid. They're going to cost people their lives. They're going to cost people their livelihoods. They're going to cost people every savings, every penny they have in savings. Houses are going to be lost. Understand, when you get into this, people have to sell houses often to get down it when they go through this, either bankruptcy or even just to qualify for Medicaid. And it's the kind of thing where people won't recognize it. It'll take a couple months before people realize, oh, I can't get healthcare anymore. Because a lot of these folks in rural areas, they just go down to the clinic to get help.
Right.
Well,
the emergency room.
Who pays for the clinic? It's Medicaid. That's who you're getting your payment through. They don't realize that's what they get it from, but that's exactly what happens. And so, I mean, it is the kind of thing that has, I think, the potential to change the direction of the country because of the huge mistake the Republicans are making.
And but you've talked about this, Mario, that it's the very people, it's the opposite of what they voted for. They thought he was going to help them, and instead to give the tax break to Elon and the boys, he's screwing them. I mean, screwing them, their livelihood. Some of them will die. I mean, it's just incredible, and I think that will shake a lot of people who are starting to reluctantly, have some concern regret about voting for him. Which is again the one thing I think this is a time when it's better to show genuine empathy and concern for the predicament that he has put them in, and not do the "you idiot, I told you this was going to happen, but you deserved it." That's not. We can bring these people over now with some of these things that they are doing. And it really needs us to sort of alter a lot of our attitude. I mean, mine too. It's not.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I was telling a story to somebody earlier today. I recently ended up meeting by email and text a farmer who lost a big AID contract. He was the most MAGA person in the world. I mean, like his Facebook page was like as crazy as you could imagine. And I've had this long conversation with this guy over the last 2 months. And he's like slowly like, oh my God, what was I taking? What was I in?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe how I was not seeing all this. Now, if and that's a rare case, guys. A lot of MAGAs are going to never change.
Sure.
But I think you're right, Joe. I think you're right. It's a point now where the pain that's going to be brought to these people, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve to have their family members die because of this. No one deserves that. They deserve to learn a lesson, and I hope they will. And I hope that they can see a way to out of the sort of matrix they're stuck in. But they're going to get a wake up call on this. Yeah. I think if this bill passes, it's going to shake the country to its core.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, you're already seeing with independents, they're already getting it. They're like off the charts.
They're so mad.
They got it. And so, yeah, maybe with what you're seeing, I think, is there were a lot of MAGA folks who voted just, like he was God and he's he walks on water. Yeah. But a lot of his voters were people who just couldn't stomach the Democrats, or like literally they reluctantly voted for him because they couldn't cope with the other side.
Right.
That group, I think, is already starting to break away because of this kind of stuff. It's like I couldn't stomach but I didn't know this is what I would be getting with this guy. Yeah. And so I think that's where us talking to those people, reaching out to them more with empathy and sort of concern and a way to start the conversation instead of, yeah, we told you so, is a better way to go. We can bring people over.
And maybe that conversation is, and look, we know you're conservative, we know you're Republican, mm-hmm. but we all agree we got to fix this problem.
Yeah.
We've got to fix this problem, and we need to help our seniors and your parents and our parents and everybody else's. And let's work together this one time. You don't have to change who you are. You don't have to change. You don't have to become a progressive or a liberal or a Democrat or anything else. Let's just fix the problem.
We're going to say, look, we get it. You voted to save $1 or $2 on eggs, and we get it. When you're trying to feed a family, that's important. But you didn't vote to get a $50,000 medical bill.
Yeah.
And that's the trade-off that they're getting.
That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah. When that happens, that's the thing that opens their eyes. Is saying, hey, look, if I'm saving some money on eggs, it's not worth it if my family suddenly broke because Johnny, was in a car wreck or something like that. It's just not worth it. And I think anyone can see that and understand that when they start to put it together. And I think a lot of these are not the hardcore MAGAs. These are not the MAGA Trump believers. These are folks who worried about the economy, worried about their pocketbook, worried about a lot of things that Democrats really didn't focus on in 2026, or not. They didn't connect on. Maybe they did focus on, but they didn't connect well. And that's Trump's doing the connecting for them right now.
I think he's gonna do a lot of damage to his own party because he will start bragging about this thing. He will lie and say no damage will occur because of Medicare, Medicaid, and that'll make the impact of the bill even worse. But a lot of political implications to this, guys. Folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight on this conversation. We hope you'll subscribe to Lincoln Square. We have these every week. We bring in smart people and occasionally even me to talk about what's behind the curtain of political decision making. What you heard tonight was sort of the conversation we would have in a strategy session in a campaign where we're beating back, ideas back and forth, where we're thinking about how do you brand it? How do you talk about it? What are the polling numbers underneath it? So there'll be a lot of content that we think is valuable. If you subscribe, you'll see things that are behind the paywall, some good stuff. You'll get access to all of our podcasts, the Lincoln Project podcast, Enemies List, That Trippi Show, Anchor Watch, Punching Up with Maya May. We're building out this organization quickly, guys. It's expanding like crazy. And we're just honored and delighted that we've become one of the fastest growing Substack platforms out there. And it's all because of you guys. And we would love to have you subscribe. And if you're not a subscriber, if you're just watching right now, go ahead and sign up for the free tier. Take a look. You'll like it. But we are out here to build something that is not the problem that we see in the mainstream news.
Right.
We're going to tell you the exact truth. We're going to do it with some humor. I like to think we're going to do it with some energy and some aggression about the fight that we're in, because we are in a big fight in this country. And, Lincoln Square has been something that again, it has grown so quickly on this platform, and we are just deeply honored by everybody's commitment and by the really smart questions and comments in the chat and everything else. Mm-hmm. So folks, we will see you again next week on the strategy session. You will have that, and there's a bewildering array of other lives coming up this week, including I'm talking to God this week. And it's not talking to God like my usual thing, wandering naked through the desert after taking ayahuasca. And no, I have never wandered naked through the desert while taking ayahuasca. I have wandered naked through the desert, but that's a separate story about Tijuana that we'll tell another time, perhaps. But listen, folks, we appreciate you all. Have a great night. We'll talk to you again soon.